Hello, my name is Cindy Gatlin. I'm at J.J. Pierce High School, and I am sharing how I've used depth and complexity strategies specifically with my freshmen. This is for Advanced English 1. I was going to put together a whole slide deck presentation thing, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to show y'all what I got going on here. So I will say I've used the strategies several times, and one of the times that I had the best results was when we did the I Have a Dream speech, and we had read it together in class. We'd had some discussion, and ultimately we were going to have our kids write a persuasive or argumentative essay. And I wanted them to get deeper into the text and get some more detail. So what I did is I put together, we actually worked in groups, and I don't remember if I put them in the groups. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I had these, just outside. We have a collaboration area out here, and I put them out there in different areas. And I was like, okay, group number 1, you start at patterns. Group number 2, you start with overtime. Group number 3, you start with unanswered questions, etc. And then they had a graphic organizer that went with this that they filled in as they moved from group to group. And I don't have copies of those. I apologize. It's the I don't, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember which graphic organizer it was. And so I had patterns, and then on the back, there's some questions. Like in this case, it says to answer the questions on your sheet. Describe the patterns you find in the language of the text. Describe the patterns you find in the structure. How does one pattern compare to the other? How important are the patterns to the overall message, and how are these patterns related? I started with 10 minutes in each group, and then it ended up 7 minutes ended up being ideal, and it was groups of 4. Over time, I have described the evolution of the big idea over time. And again, this was the Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech. How does understanding the evolution of a big idea over time affect what we learn? How important is it to understand this topic over time? How is history being made every day? How can we apply this text to today's mindset, et cetera, et cetera? I also used unanswered questions. So again, they'd finish, they would go on to the next group. I had ethics. This one was interesting. I found they don't understand what ethics are. So it gave, and made for an interesting conversation. Why are there different ethical issues in different times and places? Universal ethics and values. Ethical issues. Describe the ethical issues you find in the text. Are they still relevant today? There were some really interesting conversations. And again, even just going around and listening to the conversations, I heard a conversation where someone was saying, I know oh wait, that's a different one. For unanswered questions, he was saying, he says all these things that he wants to see happen, but he doesn't identify how. And so she said, I would like to know what were his ideas on how to do these things that he said. I have the dream that this will happen and that'll happen. Then, of course, big idea. What's the big idea of the text? What facts support it? Would it be considered global or universal? And again, just kind of having this conversation about what does that mean to be a universal theme or a global thing? Is it relevant today? Why or why not? I found that as they had these conversations, they were engaged, they were on task, they were working with their groups. And again, we were in the collaboration area, just going from group to group. Of course, being on block schedule, it worked out very well. And I have found that the graphic organizers that they completed, they had a lot of detail in it, and they were able then to come in and then the next time we were together, they worked on their essays, and we had several essay prompts for them to choose from, but they were able to use, of course, this is, STAR-esque, use that text to support your ideas in your essay. So that's one way I've used it in class. And this was one where I had just some really good conversations, really good response. So I hope that's helpful. And I look forward to some more depth and complexity this next year.